My name is Bob Arthur, and I'm honored to be with all of you this morning as your Master of Ceremonies. At this time, I would like to introduce Deacon Mario Guerra from St. Linus Church, who will deliver our invocation this morning. Following Mario.
You forgot my name? We smoke cigars on corners in cities and so forth. First of all, thank you. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today, especially to celebrate God's love for us, God, and the theme of God and love sees all. St. Augustine said, preach the gospel every single day of your lives, and when absolutely necessary, use words. And that's what we're all about. That's the passion and the compassion that we have as Christians to be able to carry forth that message. It's not words, it's actions. The Pledge of Allegiance only has 31 words in it. The 10 Commandments only has 163 words in it. And even the Gettysburg Address only has 263 words in it. Words without action are meaningless, and God does see and love us all. My prayer this morning, the first part is an interesting prayer. It's a prayer from the very first prayer said at the first prayer in the Continental Congress on September 7th, 1774 by Reverend Jacob Duché. He was the rector of Christ Church in Philadelphia. And he said, "O Lord, heavenly Father, high and mighty King of kings and Lord of lords, look down in mercy, beseech on these American states, who had fled to thee from thy rod of oppression and thrown themselves on thy gracious protection, desiring to henceforth be dependent only on thee. Be thou present, O God of wisdom, and direct the counsels of this honorable assembly. Enable them to settle things on the best insurance foundation, that order, harmony, and peace may be effectively restored, and truth and justice, religion and piety prevail and flourish among the people." My brothers and sisters, let us pray. Compassionate and loving Father, every day you give us your gifts of unconditional love and blessings. And today, as we honor our past with gratitude, we ask for your help to prepare for our future. Today we seem divided, and we ask you for unity. Today we seem fractured, and we ask you for peace. Today we seem troubled, and we ask for ability to come together. But because of your love, we share a vision and want to help all your people. With our spirit of giving, may our gifts be pleasing and acceptable to you. And today, Heavenly Father, we ask for your goodness and blessings to do the right thing for those who serve us, especially as your servants to your people. We ask you, Heavenly Father, to protect those who protect us, our military and all our first responders. We ask you for those in leadership roles, our Mayor Perez, and all those in elected office. May we ask them for wisdom and leadership and compassion for all those they serve. We ask the same for all those gathered here today. And we thank you for this food as nourishment and for all those who prepared it in your goodness. As a community, may we look to our future, united in faith, confident in hope, and renewed in love. In your name we pray. Amen. Thank you so much.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready, cut. Right turn, march. Forward, march. Color, hold. Order, hold. Ready, cut, hold. Hold up.
Well, if we don't do anything else this morning, that was impressive. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another round of applause to the Southeast Academy, to Michael, and to Mr. Anderson for a beautiful rendition and a great way to start off our morning. It is Mike, please be seated. Unless you want to stand while I introduce our mayor. Yeah, I'll take that as a no. "26 years ago, I had the privilege of hosting Norwalk's 23rd prayer breakfast in this very same banquet room. Our mayor was a senior in high school at St. Paul in Santa Fe Springs. She was sitting right over there. I believe it was her 6th appearance at our city's prayer breakfast. If I recall correctly, our keynote speaker that morning was LA Ram great Rosie Greer, and his address to the audience that morning was moving and enlightening. And I'm sure our keynote speaker this morning, that address will be the same. Ladies and gentlemen, I've known our mayor all her life. Come on, I thought there'd be a little more chuckle there. We as a family have had so many fond memories that it would be impossible to count them. We've also had some difficult times. I say this to you solely for the purpose of informing you that even though through the hard times, our family stayed strong, and Jennifer has always played a key role in keeping our strength on an even keel. When she was a little girl, Sue and I, let me introduce my wife, Sue. We found great comfort in not just holding her, but playing with her. When she was a student at St. John of God and at St. Paul High School, she simply put, shined in her studies and her extracurricular activities, both on and off campus. I recall with great pride attending a dance recital, a performance of the Never-Ending Story, where Jennifer played the lead role as the childlike empress. I swear she floated across that dance floor. Jennifer, her sister Deborah, and Councilman Vernola's daughters, Lisa and Christina, were for many years volunteers on the Norwalk Sleighs program. And this was when the program was brand new. Jennifer and her husband Mike, their sons Andrew and Gabriel, have given Sue and I so many blessings that, again, it's impossible to count. Jennifer accepted the position of mayor of our fine city almost 25 years to date when I occupied that chair in serving our great city of Norwalk. Ladies and gentlemen, students, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you this morning my daughter, the mayor of the city of Norwalk, Jennifer.
Good morning, Norwalk. It's a little early, but I hope you all have had a few cups of coffee and can start to get ready to open your mind and your heart, because today's prayer breakfast is just a little different. First off, I want to welcome all of you, and I want to give an especially warm welcome to all of our students in the room. Students, if you recognize and if you've attended a prayer breakfast in the past, you have usually sat around the perimeter of our ballroom. But today, you're in the middle, because we wanted our community to embrace you and to hold you and to have you in the middle of not only our minds and our hearts always. You really are going to be the future of Norwalk, and we are going to count on that. So don't forget it. Keep working hard and striving for all of the goals that you want to accomplish, whether it's in school, in sports, or in everyday activities. So thank you once again, everyone, for being here, and we're gonna try to keep going on our program because there's some really good food outside. At this time, it is my distinct honor to introduce some of our key guests and some of my very special friends, but it would be remiss of me if I don't start with your Norwalk City Council. And first, our Vice Mayor, Miss Margarita Rios. Councilman Tony Ayala. Councilman Leonard Shyrock. And Councilman Luigi Vernola. Also with us today is our city manager, Mr. Jesus Gomez. And so many of our city directors, key managers, and key team members. Without all of you, our city would not be what it is today. So for all of you that are here, thank you and good morning. And I'm sorry, it's gonna be such a long day. We also have some key dignitaries here with us from other cities. First, before we can go any further, we need to thank our first responders and Captain Jim Tatro. Captain Jim. Lieutenant Noe Garcia. Sergeant Jaime Navarez. And Sergeant Rudy Cortez. From the La Mirada City Council, we have Mayor Pro Tem Steve DeRoos and Councilman John Lewis. From the Downey City Council, we have Mayor Rick Rodriguez. From our Norwalk La Mirada School District, I'm gonna name them all, and if you can all stand at one time, then we'll give you one big round of applause. Dr. Hasmeek Danilian, Dr. Vargas, Assistant Superintendent from Education Services, Anna Valencia, Board President, Jesse Urquidy, Board Member, Jorge Tirado, Board Member, Karen Morrison, Board Member, and Chris Flanzer, Board President. Good morning and welcome to Norwalk La Mirada School District. And also from the Little Lake School District, once again, we'll read them all together, give them one big round of applause. Dr. William Corrine, Superintendent, Dora Sandoval, President, Richard Martinez, Vice President, Hilda Zamora, Board Member, Janet Rock, Board Member, and Gabriel Jimenez, Board Member. Good morning, and thank you for being here. And from Cerritos College, we have Mr. Zurich Lewis, Board of Trustees, and President Dr. Jose Fierro. Good morning. And I don't want to get in trouble when I get home, so it would help me if you all welcome my family, my husband, Michael Perez, my oldest son, Andrew Perez, and my youngest son, Gabriel Perez.
On our agenda, we will have an Old Testament reading and a New Testament reading by two young men that I'm very fond of. Please welcome to the stage for the Old Testament reading my grandson, my eldest grandson, Andrew Perez, and my youngest grandson, Gabriel Perez. Gabriel, please come up.
Today's Old Testament reading is from Psalm chapter 30, verse 13 through 15. The Lord looks down from heaven and sees the whole human race. From his throne, he observes all who live on earth. He made their hearts, so he understands everything that they do.
Today's New Testament reading is from John chapter 4, verse 16. We know how much God loves us, and we have put our trust in his love. God is love, and all who live in love live in God, and God lives in them.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Gabriel. Yeah, I couldn't be more proud. Our testimonial this morning is from a young man that I've known for a number of years. I've known his family for a number of years. And besides what the program says about Mr. Kapolian, you would be hard-pressed to find someone with a bigger desire to spread joy wherever and everywhere that he goes. Please welcome Joe Kapolian. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Does the sound good? Am I good? Awesome. It's such a pleasure to be with you all today. Before I start, I wanted to give a special thank you to Honorable Mayor Perez and the Norwalk City Council, all the city officials who are here today, and all the students. Thank you for being here. I also wanted to thank Mr. John Velasco and Pastor Eric, who are here from the nonprofit Heart of Compassion. They are very incredible collaborators of my organization, Joe's Organization for Youth, so it's a pleasure that they're here today as well. So I am here because Norwalk has always been home to me. I was born and raised close to here in Hacienda Heights, and my family's business has always been here in Norwalk. So both my parents working full-time jobs here in the city. When I wasn't in school, I was in the city, so it's very close to home for me. And it's an honor and a privilege to be amongst you all in this space where I feel so welcome, so thank you again. So a little bit about me. I'm an actor and a philanthropist, and I'm also a first-generation college student at Stanford University. On Stanford's campus, I'm president of Stanford Students in Entertainment, which is an organization that connects students to careers in the entertainment industry. Also, to represent my culture, I am president of the Armenian Students Association. I come from two immigrant families who were trying to build their lives from scratch in this country. And because they grew up in households where adjusting to life was sometimes difficult in this great nation, my parents were unable to finish university. Instead, they worked to help make ends meet for their families. And given the pressure to pursue pragmatic occupations that would bring in consistent incomes, my parents were never given the opportunity to pursue creative endeavors. So they made it their goal to ensure that their children could have access to the opportunities they never had. And they gave me the support with which to explore anything that I put my mind to. So at the age of 8, I decided I wanted to become an actor. Now, I may have been taking the whole be creative thing to an extreme by wanting to be a movie star, but my parents never doubted my potential, and despite their full-time jobs and countless other responsibilities, they always made time to drive me to auditions, take me to meetings with agents, acting classes, anything that would help further my career. And this helped me gain the tools necessary to learn about my dream job, and it also allowed me to see firsthand the value of having close individuals in one's life who believe in them and their passions, as opposed to brushing them aside because they may seem out of the box. So nearly a decade after beginning my journey as an actor, I founded an IRS-approved nonprofit organization, Joe's Organization for Youth, or JOY for short. And it's rooted in these principles of enabling creativity to flourish. I founded the organization dedicated to fostering the individuality of youth in various communities so that they may thrive in their passions, regardless of their socioeconomic background, because I feel so strongly that young people need exposure to the world of possibilities available to them. Any career is possible no matter where you come from, and it's vital to see that potential early and develop work ethics so that as you grow, you can attain that dream. So JOY works to connect young people to professional opportunities so that they see what's out there for them. And it also does general clothing and toy distributions during the holiday season, helping over 4,000 children annually, including here in the city of Norwalk. So I worked on this organization when I was only a teenager, and it was pretty much uncharted territory in my community for somebody who wasn't even a legal adult yet to pursue such an undertaking. But I was used to uncharted territory. I mean, while other kids were worried about what game to play on the playground, I was rehearsing scripts for roles in a Nickelodeon show. Because I had been acting since I was a young boy, honestly, I got bullied a lot by peers who thought I was delusional or did not want to see me make it. And I was socially isolated at times because I spent so much time outside of the classroom pursuing a real job. Also, in acting, you get rejected a lot. So I learned not to take people's doubts seriously and personally, and honestly, the rejection and the naysayers built my character and thickened my skin. Thus, I went into creating my organization able to block out that negativity. I remained persistent. I coupled my strong gut feeling that this was the right thing to do with work ethic, two things that I find make you all unstoppable. More importantly than my perseverance to prove naysayers wrong, I felt an obligation to use my platform and voice for positive social change. This organization was for the thousands and thousands of children who needed a voice to represent them and be there for them. Despite my success, the underestimation did not end, as I encountered many people who did not think I would get into my dream school, Stanford, as a first-generation college student. But through my gut feeling and belief in myself, coupled with thick skin and work ethic, I fulfilled my dream and also became the leader of 2 on-campus organizations. So, I want you guys to treat doubters and haters like external background noise that can be switched off. Instead of focusing on them, place your focus on God, on your family, and on fulfilling your purpose. I also encourage you, when making major decisions, to think about the big picture. Not only about you and what you'll get out of a project or an opportunity, but how it will affect your loved ones, your friends, and your community at large. Also, look around. Your community might be a fantastic source of inspiration. Our generation is at the forefront of technology. And because we understand how one another think, we can leverage that into something absolutely amazing, whether that be business, a social initiative, volunteer work. So it's an honor for me to represent my family, my culture, and my community, whether on national television, through my charity work, or on Stanford's campus. It really makes the work I do all the more special. So always remember that you represent so much more than yourself. You can be the voice of an entire generation if you put your mind to it and you work toward it. God has blessed you with the ability to thrive. Trust in Him and keep your family close, as there is wisdom and strength in prayer and in gratitude and in familial love. In addition to this, remember that if you couple your gut feeling with hard work and determination, your aspirations are likely to flourish. Don't worry about being different either. Trust me, I was different. Because being different can be leveraged into greatness, okay? We are all capable of greatness. All right, thank you.
Joe, thank you very much. Before you leave the podium, though, please introduce your parents.
Oh, sure. So my mom and dad are here today, Ani and Sean Caprelian. They work here in the city of Norwalk. They've done so all my life. Thank you.
We have something for you.
And Joe, just as a small token of our appreciation for sharing your story with all of us today, the Door of Hope and the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast Committee have this medal of our appreciation for you. So thank you. And Joe, sometime this afternoon, Joe does have to fly back for classes in Stanford. So a safe flight, and thank you truly for being here with us today.
Thank you.
What a great message. Thank you, Joe. As I'm listening to what Joe was saying, and I couldn't help but see his script on the podium in front of him, and I'm thinking, youth. His script was about 2.5 pages long, single space, 12-point font. And mine looks like this. Yeah, just a tad envious. There are a number of groups of students attending here this morning, hearing the inspirational messages being shared. It would be impossible for so many to attend the Mayor's Prayer Breakfast without the help of sponsors who purchased the tickets in order for the students to attend. Will all of the students that are attending this morning please stand and remain standing while we acknowledge the sponsors, and so please stand. Our list of sponsors are this morning, and please hold your applause until they're finished. The Door of Hope acknowledges our generous sponsors. Global Pacific Imperial, LLC, Vernolis Towing, Athens Services, Nationwide Environmental Services, the Norwalk Sheriff Station, Protect Paving, Inc., the City of Norwalk, Jennifer Perez, the City of Norwalk, Leonard Shyrock, Councilmember Tony Ayala, SoCal Pizza, Norwalk Lamarada Plumbing and Heating, the Norwalk Community Coordinating Council, Happy Jewelers, located in Florida, Fullerton, and it just warms my heart to see so many students here this morning and how they're all centered in the room, as opposed to the back of the room they have been in years past. It brings that synergy to the entire event. Congratulations. Let's give a round of applause to the students and to the sponsors. Please be seated. Our keynote speaker this morning, when the Prayer Breakfast Committee settled on the theme, Love Sees All, they asked the Lord to provide us with a speaker that will remind us that no matter what we may be doing in our life, that love truly does see all. Please look at the program for more about Jason's bio. And without further ado, please help me welcome Jason Beccario. I hope I pronounced that last name correctly, Jason. Thank you. I apologize for that. But Jason, welcome and looking forward to it.
Thank you, thank you. You know, I'm not quite 40 yet, but they tell you that once you hit 40, the first thing that goes is your eyesight. 18-point font, so there you go. That is not helpful. But good morning. I'm gonna try it once again. Good morning. There we go. I always like to get the room going, and those that, I think there's some people here that have seen me speak before. I always like to do that and get everyone going. So first off, I want to start out by thanking Mayor Jennifer Perez. I can't thank you enough, and the Prayer Breakfast Committee. I will say this, they have worked very, very hard from what I can tell on putting this together. And when they invited me to come out to one of their meetings to get to know me a couple of weeks ago, you guys were amazing. I've already told you that, but I can't say it enough, and I want to say it in front of this group. It made me feel very special. You often don't think your story is something that people really want to listen to, but I really thank you for this opportunity. So if we can give them one more round of applause, really appreciate the opportunity to the committee and everyone. I do have to start out by apologizing, because if you read my bio, it says that I do work for the Los Angeles Lakers, and some of you probably were expecting Kobe Bryant here this morning, and so I promise you I will come in as a close second to that. So I apologize if you expected that. But I do want to say one more thing that growing up, as I said, sometimes you don't think your story is important, and I love to see that we have students here and high school students, because this message really is for you, and that's really what I focused on, and really for any student for that matter. I love that I'm coming right after a college student, because aside from working in sports, I've been working in higher education for 14 years now in college career counseling, and so I love what you're doing. I love to see students here. I've been in your place. I'm still in your place. I never left school. I still work for a college, so careful what you wish for. But I'm really excited to be here. And as the committee reminded me, this message is because God wanted me to be here at this point in time. And sometimes you're very humbled when you're asked, very humbled, and always a little nervous when you're asked to speak in front of a large group. And for those of you, for those students, I'm looking at you, one day you may end up here as well, being asked to speak in front of a large group. For the students, I have one question. How many of you, is this your first prayer breakfast that you've attended? Raise your hand if it's your first breakfast like that. Yeah. It's a little intimidating, right? It's a little, sometimes you don't know what to expect when you come to these things. Well, I'll share with you a secret. It's my first keynote too, so just don't tell the mayor. They're suddenly a little nervous, I can tell. One of my idols, Vin Scully, for those of you that remember, I think most everyone would probably remember Vin Scully. He's still around. He used to love to reference an old Woody Allen quote that said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And I love it. Because today we're going to talk about my plans and what they were, and some that get derailed and what's about. But just remember that. I used to love when he used to talk about that. But my bio focuses on my work with the Los Angeles Lakers and recently with the Los Angeles Football Club. But who I am is a college career counselor for the last 14 years. One of my passions has been to help others craft their story, not just tell my own. So let me start out by telling you a little bit about my story. Those that are close to me will tell you that from a young age, I dreamt of becoming the next Vin Scully or the next Chick Hearn. Although I won't be heading to spring training with the Dodgers this week, I have come a long way from my days of doing play-by-play in my bedroom on my Nintendo at 9 years old. And those of you that play video games, you know how you annoyed your parents with that. My journey into radio, though, and announcing, to be honest with you, began right here in the city of Norwalk at Cerritos Community College. So I do want to give a shout out to the Cerritos table. A very proud alum of 2001 of Cerritos Community College. And in fact, this is how you know you're getting old. This is the 20th year anniversary of when Cerritos College started their internet radio station. Think about that. I was proud to say I started in 1998, and I was part of that group that in 1999 revamped WPMD and was one of the very first voices on that radio station 20 years ago. And now when I was writing this thing, I'm going, oh my God, internet radio. Like, the students are looking at me like that was a thing that was a thing that started 20 years ago. It was, I used to walk in with my CDs and play music and all of that. Yeah, that's what it was like just 18, 19 years ago or so. But that's where I got my first start. That is my connection to the city of Norwalk. And I can tell you, even having gone to other colleges and transferred out, my passion for what Cerritos Community College offered me, the opportunity, it gave me more than just an education. It really gave me a sense of identity. It allowed me to find myself. It allowed me to discover this dream because of the facilities they had available, the academics they had available, and with the opportunity that I had there. Excuse me. And so I'm very proud of that time. And so I tell you, when I'm looking at you at the students, really at any point in your career, in high school and college, wherever you're at, seek out those opportunities. Seek out the professors. They're amazing mentors. Seek out the facilities, the opportunities that you may have, whether in high school, in college, at any university, if you go on to graduate school, it's there, and make the best of it, because it really did make the best of me at that time. And it gave me a sense of belonging, because a lot of you sometimes, I know, especially as students and even as adult learners as well, we struggle sometimes in finding that sense of belonging in where we are at any time in our life or in our career. And at that pivotal moment, it really was not just the college speaking to me or the radio station giving me that identity, but I knew that God was talking to me at that point. And I didn't realize it then. I'd be lying to you if I told you that in 1999, and I was 18 years old, that I knew exactly what was happening. But I know now, in being here in front of you, what was going on and the plan that God had for me. You know, eventually I did transfer to Cal State Fullerton. I received my bachelor's degree in speech communication there in 2004. I did what I think what a lot of parents will tell you to do. As much as I had aspirations of getting into radio and broadcasting, my parents said, well, what are you going to do with that? You should really get a real job. And so I thought, okay, well, we'll see. I'll dabble in a couple of different things. And so when I finished college, one of my very first jobs after college was at DeVry University in the city of Long Beach as an entry-level career advisor. And I always thought, well, working with students and working with employers and companies and helping people find jobs, preparing them for the workforce, internships could be interesting. And it has been, because that's what's led me to here, and I'm still here 14 years later. But let me take you a little bit, fast forward to about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, while I was working at Claremont Graduate University, I saw an ad that the San Diego Padres were hosting open auditions for a stadium public address announcer. Now, for those of you that don't know what a public address announcer does, if you go to any sporting event, even at your high school sports events or in college or professional, there's someone speaking, right, doing the announcements and who's coming up to hit and giving you all the commercials and the ads, and some folks might even call it in theater the voice of God is what they call it sometimes. So I don't call myself that, but for those of you in theater would understand that. I didn't make much of it because I had no intentions of moving my family at the time to the San Diego area. Nonetheless, two of my good friends insisted that I make the trek to San Diego and even offered to drive me there. I didn't see the point in going down there. It's a big cattle call for folks to audition. But they said, look, we'll drive you there, we'll take you there. And so I took them up on that offer. We headed to San Diego on a Saturday at 6 in the morning, arrived to a massive line that started from the first baseline of Petco Park and wrapped around the ballpark. 700 people showed up for this one part-time audition. Only 450 people were allowed to audition, so the others were turned away, and I was number 373. So after enduring a 7-hour line, I finally got my shot. 60 seconds, that could change my life. I only read a couple of things, and one of those read, now batting, number 10, third baseman, Chase Headley. So I did that. And then to reassure them that I'm bilingual, catching, number 9, Yasmani Grandal. You know how it goes for those of us that are bilingual speakers. You got to appease the people that are making the decisions. I left that day with absolutely no expectations. To me, it was just a fun trip with a couple of friends to San Diego. Whatever happens, happens after that. I went back home to my normal job, but 2 weeks later, I was told that I was one of 30 finalists to make it to the next round. Then I became one of 20. For the next round, the Padres turned it into a popularity contest and gave fans the opportunity to vote for their favorite announcer. It was then that I realized how many people were really on my side. From other local broadcasters to even local newspapers to Facebook friends that I haven't even heard of in years. You know how that goes. Everyone was coming out of the woodworks to support you. It was a little bit overwhelming, but it was very touching and something very necessary. Anyways, those that made it to the top 20 were invited to announce a couple innings of the Padres preseason game. And a week after that, I was told that I had made it to the top 10 and was invited to be the public address announcer for the first 5 innings of opening day at Petco Park. And as luck would have it, who would the Padres be playing? The Los Angeles Dodgers. I couldn't show them that I was a lifelong Dodger fan. You do what you got to do to get the job. But I was excited to be rooting for the Padres that day. Yasiel Puig hit a home run, and I announced him, though, so that was awesome. So it's okay. And yes, Vin Scully was sitting only a few booths away. Ultimately, I didn't get the gig. Was I disappointed? Of course, a little bit. I'm very hard on myself. But the truth was that I wasn't too disappointed about having to move to San Diego. You know, Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, and plans to give you hope and a future." Remember that, because at the time when you do face rejection, and rejection will happen, and I'm talking to the students, you know, and I think Joe talked a little bit about this, and he's absolutely right. Being able to take rejection, criticism, especially if you're a creative, and this is my art, and he has his art, and all of you have your art and something you're passionate about, be ready for that. But know that there is a greater plan, and better things are to come right around the corner. And let me tell you, so a few months later, the gentleman, well, let me tell you this. I didn't have this on here, but I think he's here. Where's Eric? Eric Pierce, who is the editor of the Downey Patriot. Sorry, Eric. I told you were in my speech. While I was auditioning for the Padres, the Downey Patriot caught wind of this young guy in Downey that's doing this thing, and they said, "Hey, we'd love to write a story for you, and so about you." So I said, "Sure, great." So I interviewed with the Downey Patriot. They ran a story. I never met Eric in person. We had spoken on the phone, and it was one of his writers that conducted the interview. We became Facebook friends. That's just the era we live in, right? And so from then on, Eric knew about me. He followed my story and know that I didn't get the job and what have you. Several months later, though, he sent me a Facebook message knowing what I had gone through, and he found, I think it was through Twitter, that he said that the Los Angeles Lakers had put on an announcement that their G League team, the South Bay Lakers, was looking for a public address announcer, and Eric thought, I thought about you and thought you might be interested in auditioning. I said, and I thought about it, I don't want to go through it again and then get rejected. There was me wanting to say no and not wanting to put myself out there again and subjected to that. I did it anyways. It wasn't as complicated of a process, but I went through it. The announcement was asking for folks to audition to become their public address announcer, and I decided to look into it, and I did register and audition. I showed up to the Lakers practice facility in El Segundo and auditioned against about another 75 to 100 candidates. And in a very American Idol type of fashion audition, we each walked onto the court one by one to the Lakers practice court, and we gave it our best shot. I was selected for a callback, and I anxiously auditioned with 7 other folks. And a few weeks later, I received the email that would make all the difference in the world to me, and that I was offered the opportunity to be their public address announcer for the 2014-2015 season. I was now a member of the Los Angeles Lakers organization. 3 seasons had gone by of announcing for the Lakers minor league team, and right before I could finish my 4th season that past spring, last year I received another phone call that topped the first one. They called me from the Lakers front office, asking me if I was ready to fill in at the big stage at Staples Center. With only 24 hours to prepare, I walked into Staples Center on Easter Sunday of last year, ready to address a crowd of 17,000, just a little larger than this, ready to root on the Los Angeles Lakers. With my parents in the crowd and the national anthem playing at Staples Center, I thought of everyone and every moment that had led me to that very day. And today I look back and think about how perfect God's timing was and still is. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens." Not bad for a kid of immigrant parents. Not bad who a kid, even though had parents that valued a strong education, they underestimated the power of a good dream. For 14 years now, I have served students from across various colleges, providing them with career counseling, job opportunities, and most importantly, hope. Though I didn't get the Padres job, putting myself out there opened a lot of doors. First with the Defenders, then with the Lakers, and then just last year, I was also the public address announcer for LA's newest professional soccer team, the Los Angeles Football Club, the LAFC. Yes, go ahead. That allows me to take a sip of water, so keep clapping. Go ahead. Now, some of you will ask, was it his connections with the Lakers that got him the job over at the LAFC or what have you? The answer is I wish. That would have made things a lot easier. This time, there was no announcement, no job board. Really, there wasn't. It was just me reaching out this time, now having the confidence of saying, you know what, I know what I can offer in the industry. And having friends and family tell me, you know, you're good enough, Jason, send an email, find out who's in that organization, put yourself out there. And that's why I'm talking to the students. You have to really want something and really be willing to have someone reject you or just not even answer an email. But the worst case scenario is they just won't answer the email. That's it. And so I sent in an email and I got a response. And for about 3 or 4 months of checking back in and checking back in, they finally came back and said, come on in, we'd like you to audition for this opportunity. And that's how it worked, and that's how it went. It was the persistence, it was putting myself in there, and then knowing that you do belong there, that you do belong. And I was very grateful for the opportunity. And as much as I love my role with the South Bay Lakers, this new opportunity taught me so much and had been so exciting, more exciting than I could have ever imagined. And of course, it's part of my ultimate plan that there will be no sporting event in Los Angeles where you won't hear my loud, annoying voice over a loudspeaker. I kid, sort of. I share my story with you all not to impress you, but rather to inspire you. Because you see, before that audition 5 years ago in San Diego, what I didn't tell you about was the almost 10 years I spent taking every opportunity that came my way. From Cerritos College, and a mentor that I had at Cerritos, who was an assistant at the station at the time, started his own radio show in the Inland Empire at KCAA 1050 AM, and asked me a few years after college if I wanted to join him in co-hosting and reading the news and what have you. And I took that opportunity, driving to San Bernardino at 8 AM every Saturday, living here in Downey. Not something maybe I want to do on my days off, but I was passionate about getting into radio and doing it. And let me tell you, it was a ton of fun and a great learning experience. This gentleman ultimately became a little ill and had asked me if I would step in and host the show by myself for about 7 months running. And of course, it's not a circumstance you always wish for, that you have to come in for someone when maybe they're not at their best. But it was at the right time for me, and eventually he came back on the show, and it was fantastic, and it was a blessing. I spent a couple of years on a website called LakersNation.com. For those of you that are Lakers fans, you may follow it. I was a freelance reporter with them for 2 years, working for free, by the way. This radio station I was going to San Bernardino did not pay. This website, I was freelancing for free for 2 years while working a full-time job. And then I spent some time for a little bit under a year with Univision and Univision Deportes on their website, doing some web sports reporting and doing some stories. Got to cover the Gold Cup. Got to do a story on the recently renovated Dodger Stadium when they renovated at the time. And yes, got to practice my Espanol, which was a ton of fun. And then graduate school was in my way. Yes, I did go back to school. I'm not a nerd, I'll tell you that, because I would be lying to you if I told you that I was a straight A student when I was in high school. Anything but that. I struggled quite a bit. I won't show you my report cards. I bugged the heck out of the teachers and the nuns over at St. Emilia's School in Linwood when I was growing up, which is my alma mater. But I did it. I went through it. I never lost the persistence to go to college. I never lost the persistence at Cerritos to finish. I was in a 6-year plan when I finished Cal State Fullerton, but I did it. And eventually I earned my master's degree in sports management at Cal State Long Beach, thinking I was going to, about 10 years ago, that I was going to make the transition into sports. All of those experiences led me to what I've achieved today. That's not to say that it didn't come with any hardship. I've experienced job loss, and I've experienced rejection. Just this past month, as a matter of fact, I learned that my announcing role with the LAFC would not be renewed for the 2019 season. Why? I don't know. Was I disappointed? Very. There are a lot of reasons why in the business of sports and entertainment, as Joe would tell you, that sometimes organizations and companies make decisions to look elsewhere and seek someone else's help. And eventually I was okay with that. It was hard to accept, but again, I knew that the Lord and that God had a plan for me and still has a plan for me, and that something, again, would be right around the corner for me. The lessons here are easy. Dreams are meant to be shared. Share them everywhere. A lot of you and most of us here on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, you name it, whatever social media you're on, and we use it for all kinds of things. But I'm here to tell you, and this is where I'm putting my career college counselor hat on, use it for good. Use it to tell people what you're doing. Use it to tell them what your dreams are. Had it not been for Eric over at the Downey Patriot and other folks who I've told my story and knew about my story, I may have never found out about that audition, and I wouldn't be speaking with you here today. As a matter of fact, and I'm embarrassed at the same time to share this, Eric and I barely met for the first time in person just a few months ago over lunch. of the long overdue lunch that I promised him that I was as a thank you, and I didn't forget. It took me a while, but I certainly didn't forget. And that's another thing that's not in here, but don't forget the people that help you along the way. Not getting what you want isn't always a bad thing, right? It's not always a bad thing. So get used to that, because you won't get everything you want. I don't know about you, but I believe that the big guy upstairs had a plan for me, and it wasn't the San Diego Padres. Although disappointing at the time, had I not hopped into that car with my buddies and headed to San Diego, I would have no story to tell you all today. And ever since that day, I've decided to take the advice that I give my own students to fearlessly jump at opportunities with confidence. But one of the biggest lessons that I want all of you to take from my story is to say yes. Say yes to opportunities. And I'll end with this. In a 2012 graduation commencement speech that was given to Berkeley graduates by Google executive chairman at the time, Eric Smith, I loved his remarks, and I'll tell you a little bit about what he told the students. And I quote, he said, "I ask each of you, find a way to say yes to things. Say yes to invitations to a new country. Say yes to meet new friends. Say yes to learning a new language, picking up a new sport. Saying yes is how you get your first job or your next job. Yes is how you find your spouse and even your kids. Even if it is a bit edgy, a bit out of your comfort zone, saying yes means that you will do something new, meet someone new, and make a difference in your life and likely in others' lives as well. Yes lets you stand out in a crowd, to be the optimist, to stay positive, to be the one everyone comes to for help, for advice, or just for fun. Yes is what keeps us all young. Yes is a tiny word that can do big things. So say it often. May God bless. Thank you.
Jason, something that I have learned is when we're on bended knee, that's when we receive the most blessings. So from the entire Mayor's Prayer Breakfast to you today, we have a statue. On bended knee should you always receive your blessings. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Jason. Jason mentioned about the Cerritos Community College radio station coming back on the air about 20 years ago. I had the pleasure of doing an interview that very day that they signed back on. I was asked to do the interview, and the reception was, "Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating in getting the station back on the air," and asked for my comments. The radio station is at the far end of the spectrum at 1700 kilohertz on the radio dial. So I stood there and said, I would like all of our political science professors and everyone in the liberal arts division to know that to listen to the voice of the Cerritos College radio station, you need to be as far right as possible. That didn't go over very well. On behalf of Mayor Perez, I want to thank everyone this morning for attending. And we have, on behalf of the committee, Prayer Breakfast Committee, I'd like to bring up Mercedes. And we've got some, oh, that's right, you've lost your voice. So, pinch hitting for Mercedes is Pastor Kibben. Arthur?
Thank you so much. The speakers have been so inspiring to Mercedes, she's speechless. We, the Mayor Prayer Breakfast Committee, would like to acknowledge your faithfulness and your commitment and involvement in planning this year's Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, Ms. Jennifer. Your love for the youth of this community was truly demonstrated as implemented in a new seating plan, that was all her idea, that placed the students in the forefront, surrounded by the members of our community, and I love that idea. We know your schedule is full and that you're not only fulfilling your duties as mayor, but also as a committed and involved mom and wife. And we thank you for your example as you set forth for us as a committee and as a community. It is with a heartfelt appreciation that we present to you this gift, and we pray continued blessings and prosperity upon you and your office and your family. Thank you so much. For all of you students, go see Dr. Danilian. She'll give you a pass for being late.
Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. It's a beautiful necklace with 3 charms and a cross. And they say Gabriel, Andrew, and Mike.
Thank you, Arthur. Jennifer's up next. She has an explanation of what to do, what she's going to explain about the cards that are on your tables.
So before we conclude, one of the other things that I wanted to do today was something that was given to me as a gift when I was a student at St. Paul High School. So attending a retreat my senior year, our retreat leader, Miss Susie Rosales, told us to take out a blank piece of paper and an envelope and address the envelope to yourself. So what I want you to do today, and this will be taken, that everybody must do this, even those at the head table, I want you to take out the postcard that was inside your program. And there's pins from Cerritos College, and I want you to address this postcard to yourself. And after you put your name and your address, I want you to think of something that you heard today, something that you felt, whether it was a message from Joe or from Jason, from the beautiful music that the girls shared with us, or something that was shared at your table. I want you to write yourself a message. And sometime between now and next year's Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, I am gonna mail these back to you. You don't know when, I don't know when, but at any given time in the next year, I want you to receive this card, and I want that memory to instantly bring you back here to this breakfast with 450 of your friends. And I want you to read the message that you've shared. And it's God's plan that you're gonna get this postcard on that day, because He doesn't know what you're going through. It could be a good day, it could be a bad day, but He knows when you need to receive this message. And take some time, you have about 2 minutes, read the message that's shared on the front of the postcard, Living Life. This message is actually hanging in my office at City Hall, and it's something I think we all need to remember. So you have 2 minutes, write your message, address your postcard, and then before you leave today, there's 5 wooden boxes around the room, and you're just going to slide them into those boxes. So if we could at this time, Anna, could you play us something beautiful, as you always do, while we fill out our postcard?
Thank you, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, we're nearly completed with our Mayor's Prayer Breakfast 2019. Let's all join together in singing, "Let There Be Peace." Please stand.